Thank you, Karen, for that beautiful Franz Schubert prelude. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Dalsimer. I'm a member of this wonderful fellowship and have the honor of being one of your service leaders today. Each Sunday, we welcome all here in person at the Aldea Hotel in the heart of San Miguel, Mexico, and those of us joining by Zoom from other parts of Mexico, the United States, Canada, and elsewhere. Frustratingly, we are temporarily suspending our in-person services due to the Omicron wave. We hope to resume in-person services here at the Aldea very soon. We welcome all, regardless of your religious belief or none, regardless of skin color, sexual identity, cultural heritage, or political persuasion. We say to you, bring your whole self. Come as you are. Today, all of you are coming to us via Zoom. We invite you to stay after the service and join others in the Zoom chat room for conversation, and if you wish, to ask questions of our speakers who will be present. And join us again as we get to know each other better in this welcoming community. Now, I have one exciting announcement of a very special event. Rohanna Lang, a Canadian artist and UUFSMA member, has donated 12 paintings and drawings to the congregation to use as a fundraiser for the minister's discretionary fund. As a member herself, Rohanna understands how crucial this fund is for the minister to help members who are in a pinch. A silent auction for these beautiful framed works will be posted on our website on January 16th, and bids will be accepted through January 22nd. See the next Tuesday's newsletter for additional comments. And now to Dan for our Kovidz Task Force current report.
Good morning. I bring you some brief comments from our COVID-19 task force. As you are aware, our board has decided to temporarily suspend Sunday services because of the rise of cases and our desire to protect our more vulnerable staff, members, and the larger community. We're hopeful that this suspension will last only a month or two. Booster vaccines are still available now in San Miguel for those 60 and over. And for those 40 to 59, you may register for boosters that should be available soon. Studies have confirmed that the AstraZeneca vaccine that is being administered here is very effective as a booster. We want to remind you that our current policy is still that no UU-sponsored indoor meetings should have more than 5 attendees. Please continue to wear good non-cloth masks and follow other precautions that you know so well by now. Until next time, be well. And now to Mark with opening words.
Good morning. My name is Mark Johaningsmeir. I'm delighted to be with you. Our theme today is This I Believe. 3 members of the fellowship will tell something of their journeys. And now some words from Loren Eiseley from his book, The Immense Journey. The journey is difficult, immense, at times impossible, yet that will not deter some of us from attempting it. We cannot know all that has happened in the past or the reason for all of these events, any more than we can with surety discern what lies ahead. But we have joined the caravan at a certain point, and we will travel as far as we can but we cannot in one lifetime see all that we would like to see or learn all that we hunger to know. But we press ahead. Now we turn to the lighting of the chalice. When we gather, we mark this time and place by lighting a candle set in a chalice, a symbol expressive of the quest for truth and a longing for presence. I have a suggestion to make to all of you who are tuned in today, and that is wherever you are and whenever you join with us, you might also light a candle, affirming that we are linked together, even at this distance, linked together in that great search for truth and presence. And now I invite you to join in this hymn, celebrating the connections that we have. Here we have gathered. The words will appear on your screen. The words of our covenant were formulated here in this fellowship a number of years ago. They are a reminder and an affirmation of what we hold dear. I will lead with these words in English. Diego Vargas will lead us in our covenant in Spanish. I invite you to join along. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
As I mentioned a few minutes ago, today 3 members of our fellowship will be sharing some of their journey toward a more expansive faith and life. All 3 have been members of this fellowship, and all 3 have served in many positions of responsibility and leadership. The first is Ellie Goodwin. Ellie has been a part of this fellowship since the year 2010. She has a deep commitment to help our UU fellowship in being welcoming and compassionate and evolving as a beloved community. Here is Ellie to tell her story.
When asked what I believe, I must admit that I don't know what to believe. And realizing that I don't know what to believe, and therefore I am an agnostic, I became a UU. I grew up in a family that was centered on religion, Southern Baptist. We read the Bible at breakfast, and then every day after school I went to a church meeting. And during most summers, I spent the whole time at Baptist camp. We went to revivals in our little town and drove miles to revivals in other cities to hear people like Billy Graham. We read the Bible every night before bed. I had read it all the way through 3 times and memorized a good bit of it before I graduated from high school. We prayed a lot during the day. We prayed for forgiveness. What we felt the most was fear of displeasing God and being punished for it. Much fear. I lived with this devotion and fear for 18 years before attending a Baptist girls' college. It was during my sophomore year that my religion teacher told us that the Bible is not the direct word of God, as I had drilled into my head for 18 years, but rather a string of stories and myths. What a revelation that was. It changed my life. I left the Baptist Girls College and transferred to the University of North Carolina, a place that was a far cry from being the focus of God, the Bible, Jesus, and fear. It was 12 years before I walked into another church, and that church was the UU Congregation of Greater Atlanta. My first experience at that large church was when I was invited to produce some adult education classes there. I immediately realized that the folks I was training were people that I wanted to spend time with. There was none of the dogma that I had grown up with, and none of the fear. The minister at the time was Reverend Eugene Pickett, who became one of the foremost leaders of the UU world. More than the freedom to choose what I believed, I found a community to belong to. I had just gotten divorced and found a wealth and depth of support at that church. I attended regularly. About 12 years later, I moved from Atlanta to the Washington, D.C. area, where I immediately joined Cedar Lane Unitarian Church in Bethesda, Maryland. This too was a large church, about 600 people. Once again, I found a community of like-minded friends and an environment that was more spiritual than religious and without dogma and fear. Over the next 11 years, I served on nearly every committee, chairing several, and served as secretary of the board. I still have attachments to that church and good friends there. When my husband David wanted to retire early and move to San Miguel, as much as I enjoyed being in one of the most exciting cities in the world, Washington, D.C., I could live here because there was a UU fellowship and I could establish roots at this UUF. This was in 2008. Having learned in Bethesda, the best way to build personal community is by getting involved. I soon became chair of the Sunday Service Committee for 7 years, a board member for 10 years, and over the years, a member of nearly every committee. Although I strongly support our blend of spirituality and social justice, what has served me best is the beloved community that I hold dear. Small group discussions, neighborhood connections of UUs, circle cenas, committee work, and the first fellowship women's group, Mis Hermanas, have helped me connect closely to the most interesting and compassionate people. When David died 2.5 years ago, I was left with no family, no children, no siblings. The very day he died, a wonderful UU friend came to the hospital to collect me, take me to lunch, and then to what I thought would be an empty house. When I got home, Reverend Tom Rossiello was on my doorstep. And soon 4 UUs reached out to me to go to dinner that night at David's favorite restaurant. Emails, phone calls, flowers, cards, and invitations from UUs helped me through my darkest days. 6 weeks later, after the snowbirds had gone home, over 100 people attended the celebration of David's life. The celebration was held at the Aldea, and a lovely service was produced by Tom Rossiello, Paula Peace, and Malcolm Halliday. I will never forget it. I feel so blessed to have found a home in this UU fellowship, a home of loving, achieving, and interesting people who have become my dear family. No dogma, no fear, just love binds us together. This is what I believe.
Thank you, Ellie. When we gather, either in person or at a distance, we do not know what burdens or occasions for gladness that each one of us is carrying. You may imagine that you know what others are experiencing, but you don't. We make time in our gatherings, week after week, to allow people to really reveal some pieces of their own thoughts and feelings and allow the rest of us to enter into that reality. These that I'm about to share have been sent in to Reverend Tom Rossiello, our minister, or others in leadership in our fellowship. If you would like to share a joy or concern next time, feel free to email Tom before next weekend. And if you have a joy or concern that you could share right now, you could go to the chat box and you'll see the link at the bottom of your screen, and you can type it in right now. And as I name each of these items, Judith will light a candle representing each of these hopes or wishes or sorrows or joys. A candle of gratitude for those who offer kindness and care and comfort to the dying. A candle of love and gratitude for Denise Galipo to celebrate her birthday, which was yesterday, the 8th. Denise provides expert support in our fellowship, maintaining our website, coordinating Sunday services, preparing the order of service each week, the newsletter, and countless other tasks that help the fellowship function efficiently. You don't see her, but you see her work. So Denise, happy birthday and thank you. A candle of concern for Connie Brereton. Connie has been a member of this fellowship for many years. She ministered to folks in San Miguel and in some very poor parts of India. She also led discussion groups here in San Miguel in her home for many years. We just learned that she is in intensive care at the Hoya Hospital. She is not allowed visitors. Her family shared this information and asks our prayers on behalf of Connie. A candle of concern for Arlena Lawrence. Arlena was hospitalized last week with COVID. She was released. She went home. She seemed to be on the mend, and she had a fall. I understand that she is now back at the hospital and being treated for her fall. And we offer our best wishes for her recovery. A candle of concern for those who are ill with COVID and the health professionals and non-professionals working hard to bring them back to good health. I have 3 related issues from Bill Dulcimer. 1, a candle of concern for all who were victims of the insurrection last year on January 6th. A candle of gratitude for those who fought to defend the Capitol and the workings of the United States democracy. And a candle of hope for those working to uncover the facts and tell the truth and hold accountable those who engineered this insurrection. This last candle represents all of the joys and concerns, the gratitude, disappointments that go unnamed, but are so deeply felt. Please join me in embracing these unvoiced concerns with these next moments of silence.
Our next presenter, Betsy Davies, a member of this fellowship, has been an active resident of San Miguel de Allende for more than 20 years. Her life of engagement has reached many, coordinating and leading walking tours of historical San Miguel to benefit Patronato Pro Niño, as well as serving as a mentor for and generous supporter of scholarship students of Jóvenes Adelante. During my time as a member of the Fellowship's Social Action Committee, I got to know and appreciate her as the conscience of the committee, always ready to advocate for the support of new initiatives working to improve the lives of underserved Mexican families, and in particular, the children and young adults. It's a pleasure to welcome our long-term member, Betsy Davies.
This, I believe. It took me a long time to figure that one out. Religion is defined as a group or culture. Spirituality relates to one's personal search for meaning and purpose in life. I believe that the search for the real me was finally solved by the realization that one's actions define one's beliefs. It came to me when I had to come up with 3 things to put on ceramic plaques that my friend Sharon would make as souvenirs for my 80th birthday party. That forced me into some serious thinking. I came up with, smile a lot. A smile can speak louder than any other words. Then there was, have fun. Find the fun in all your tasks. And finally, be of some use. I lived all 3 of them during my 30 years in San Miguel. When I finished that assignment, I realized with a start that I could end my search for the real me because I was living it with every decision I made. That was the gift San Miguel had given me. The needs of my host community were being addressed by the many NGOs, and I was addressing some of those needs and reveling in it. I brought my plaque along today so you could see the sketch, my father's sketch of the parroquia done in the 1950s. Today would be his 128th birthday. Now you know the basis of my beliefs. I have a few others to share with you. First, I believe in trusting my gut when important decisions are to be made. Once I overrode my gut's advice, too late I realized I'd made a terrible mistake. But then, if I hadn't made that one mistake, I wouldn't be here today talking to you. I know that all my previous decisions have brought me to this very place and very time in San Miguel de Allende. Something I don't have to fret and cry over are the mistakes I've made along the way, because they've led me to happiness. My belief in education has governed my action for many years. I realized at age 30 that I wanted to go back to college and get a master's degree to teach. Luckily, there was a teacher shortage, and there was a way to teach full-time in an elementary school while studying part-time for 3 years. I had 4 children, and they probably wished I'd had more time for them. Eventually, after more master's levels courses, I taught history and humanities courses in the high school and community college. By this time, I could tell there was a lack of creativity involved in teaching history. Too many dates and just bare facts involved. A lot had to do with a lack of reading skills. And now we're facing a future corruption of American history in classrooms as right-wing groups continue to alter our history. But here we are in Mexico. I see efforts here in San Miguel, right here, to enhance the joy of reading, like Libros para Todos, Jóvenes Adelante, and Mujeres en Cambio. More power to them, because a love of books may eventually save this country we are living in. So, along with education, I believe in the power of books. The two go hand in hand. Thank you for listening. I urge you all to examine your lives and then live on what you find there.
Good morning. I'm Cathy Cánepa, and I'm a member of our Sunday Service Committee. We try to be a loving fellowship to each other and the surrounding community where there is serious poverty. So our income is used to serve both. Our fellowship gives substantial grants to organizations that serve and make a difference in the Mexican community. We support scholarships for promising students. We support food and environmental programs, children's health services, plus support deported Mexican nationals returning here and migrants desperately traveling north from Central America. Our income is also used to provide UU services with speakers from Mexico and the US and Canada. Our superb staff makes possible our website, our newsletter, and production of our Sunday services, and much more. Upgraded technology has allowed us to maintain our community during the pandemic and continue with hybrid services even when we are back in person, so that we can continue to reach all of our members, even when they're away. We support our care team for fellowship members in need and support our children's program, which we will have again. And so importantly, we support our professional minister position, which helps guide us to an even higher level for sharing open and inspiring Sunday services, working for social justice, and expressing our love. Although not at the Aldea today, I invite you to let this online taking of the offering be a time to honor our collective responsibility for the common good. See your screen for how you can donate as if you were here today. So your contributions will be very gratefully received.
We now hear from Bill Dulcimer, our third speaker today. Bill Dawsomer began and lived much of his life in New York. He had a law practice and worked in legal services with underserved clients in the South Bronx and in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Now, before Bill's remarks, he and Cathy Cánepa will lead us in a responsive reading, and the words will appear on your screen right now.
Before we have our responsive reading, I'd like to thank our prior presenter, Betsy Davies, for sharing her remarks of faith and commitment in her life. I only wish that she had been one of my teachers when I had been a young man. The author of today's responsive reading, Sofia Foss, was born in China in 1879 to Presbyterian missionary parents. From 1937 to 1951, she was the children's editor for the Unitarian New Beacon book series, the books used in the Sunday school of my youth. At the age of 66, in 1945, Sofia Foss joined a Unitarian church, and in 1959, at the remarkable age of 82, she was ordained a Unitarian minister. Yes, there may be a new and bright future for many of us. Please join Cathy and me in reading It Matters What We Believe. The words will appear on your screen. I will read the red print, and please join Cathy in reading the blue print. It matters what we believe. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged.
Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies.
Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears and unknown calamities.
Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness.
Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies.
Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern.
Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction.
Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration.
Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness.
Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth.
Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world.
Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life.
Unlike many of you, I did not consciously and deliberately choose Unitarianism as my faith. I was brought up a Unitarian in a humanist congregation, the newly founded North Shore Unitarian Society in Port Washington, New York. Each Sunday I went with my sister and father, frequently accompanied by our mother, to our meeting place of worship. Our society as it was called, was housed in an old Charles Adam type mansion. Our Sunday school class met in the basement room, and I remember it had yellow walls. We read stories of teachers and seekers. We read about the Greek gods, an Egyptian pharaoh whose name was Akhenaten and who worshiped a single god. We read the stories of Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha. We studied what the works of Muhammad Gandhi, Albert Schweitzer, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Clara Barton, and other people of generosity and virtue. We read tales by Native Americans and Africans. We studied the beliefs of others and visited their houses of worship. And we studied miracles of nature. I remember lots of nature. Over several years, guided by our teachers, we painted murals on those yellow classroom walls. Diversity and inclusion was our model. As a 5, 6, and 7-year-old without great artistic talents, I liked to paint water, possibly because I was short and water seemed always to be at the bottom of the wall. Blue was also my favorite color. These very early years in a Unitarian religious education program left a deep impact on me. Awareness and acceptance of diversity, tolerance of others, search for social justice, a belief that we humans could make things better, maybe even change the world. But let's get back to those murals on the yellow classroom wall and my paintings of water. When I think of faith, I think of water. Faith is like water. Faith and water are essential elements of life. My belief, like water, is tangible and real. Water can be seen, touched, and tasted. My faith, like water, takes many shapes, but whatever its shape may be, at any particular moment, it is always made from the same basic elements: acceptance of diversity and inclusion. Water is the morning mist. Water is rain. Water is ice. Water can be salty or fresh, crystal clear or murky. Water can be hot or cold. Water can be fierce and uncontrollable. Water can be quiet. Water is changeable, yet it is always water. Water, like my faith, needs care, requires attention to remain a fresh and renewing resource. My faith, like water, is dynamic, always moving, changing, and growing with my age. Sometimes my faith is loud, like the roar of the wild ocean. Sometimes my faith is quiet, like a pond on a windless summer's day. Both water and faith, in all their various forms, are necessary to sustain my life. I've been fortunate, no, blessed, to find a home here in this fellowship, like a spring giving forth fresh water, renewing my ever-unfolding faith. As members, we embrace compassion, tolerance, accept diversity, engage in a responsible search for truth and meaning, and as co-creators of justice, we roll up our sleeves to make things happen. In closing, I ask you a single question. In the Sunday school of your mind, what would you paint as your mural of faith? What does your mural of faith look like? Now, please join me in singing hymn number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life. Following the benediction and the extinguishing of our chalice, and after the prelude, played by Karen Kelly, I invite you all to remain online. You will be randomly assigned to a small group of 4 to 6 for conversation, or you may elect to move to the larger discussion group. If assigned to a small group and only 1 or 2 people show up, sit tight, and you will be moved to the larger group. And now we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, with these words. May the light of our chalice shine on your mural of faith, be it in verse, prose, paint, clay, music, or dance. May your mural reflect your unique view of that web of life in which we all play a part. Please go in peace.